The Queens Jewish Link presents the Jewish Living Podcast, the show that examines the many facets of Orthodox Jewish life. Here's your host, Izzo Zwirin.
Well, we've held out for a year now, but I'm extremely excited to have on this week's guest. Why? Because this is the first time we get to have a guest on the program who was part of the original brain trust for the Jewish Living Podcast. But our guest this week is so much more than that.
Hi everyone, I'm Yaniv Meirov from Chazaq.
Rabbi Meirov and I will discuss the history, present, and future of the Chazaq organization, and all of the important work they do. And for the first time on this podcast, our Davar Acher segment features a Davar Torah. Thank you so much, Rabbi Meirov. Thank you so much for joining me this week. It's a pleasure to have you on. I've known you for a little bit over a year now. You're actually very instrumental in the launch of this podcast. So thank you so much for finally joining me as a guest.
It is my honor and privilege. Thank you, Izzo. It's a privilege.
All right. So before we get into Chazaq, tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your history, and maybe how you got into working with Chazaq organization.
So a little bit about myself. So it was all when I was about 13, 14 years old, bar mitzvah more or less. And I would walk around my neighborhood in Forest Hills, Regal Park, and I would see so many teenagers and children and individuals that didn't have meaning and purpose, and they were doing the wrong things with crime and drugs. And I felt like there needs to be done something. Something needs to be done. And that's how that's more or less how the organization started. By when I was 15, we had a parsha paper, a newsletter that we would give out to shuls, to pizzerias, to restaurants, to stores here, there, and everywhere. And people were giving us amazing feedback. And we saw that there was a thirst for the truth, a thirst for Torah. And after 50 weeks of a newsletter of the parsha paper, we decided we're going to organize a small shiur, a small lecture, expecting 2 dozen people. And to everyone's shock and disbelief, we had over 500 people at our first event. Yeah. So we saw.
Do you remember what that first event was?
More or less, it was about 15 years ago. So it was a night of inspiration and unity. We promoted it all over the place, and again, we didn't know what to expect, and then we saw that there was a huge amount of want and interest, and again, we weren't expecting to start an organization. It just happened because of the interest from the community, and from this year, we started a learning program, to a library, to a teens division, to Sunday schools, to after-school programs, to yeshiva placement, to women's division. It just goes on and on and on.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So there's a lot that Chazaq does. Now, I know Chazaq because of the shiurim that they offer, that you offer to the community. And it's not just the community that you live in. You're in Queens. You go all around the New York metropolitan area. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. So we started in Queens. That's why Izzo Chazaq is spelled with a Q. Chazaq with a Q, strengthening Queens. So that's why everyone thinks, Chazaq with a Q. It must be some Sephardi thing. No, it's just a cute thing that we did. And it started in Queens and gradually expanding across the globe. Baruch Hashem, thank God, we have shiurim, obviously pre-COVID, in communities over Queens, 510, Rockwood, Great Neck, Bar Park, Flatbush, Muncie, Lakewood. We have in a branch in Canada for Sunday schools. We have after-school programs in Arizona, and we're looking to expand more and more and more.
So let me talk to you a little bit about where the organization was headed, and let's go up until February 2020, and then we'll get into March 2020. So you were growing. It's 15 years ago, 2005, I'm assuming, and you're growing and you're gaining a little bit of a following and donors. Who are the types of people that you're serving? You went through it a little bit when you were trying to help out different communities, but more specifically, who's your target audience?
Beautiful question, Izzo. So we mentioned the shiurim, the lectures, which is really the cherry on top for the Chazaq organization. Our main mission and goal right now is to save and to help and to guide the over 10,000 Jewish kids that unfortunately go to the public school systems and have no connection to Judaism, to Yiddishkeit. And what we do at Chazaq is we have after-school programs. That means they go to public school. After school, they come to our different programs that we have in many different communities, and we teach them the basics of Judaism. We obviously give them food. We give them some entertainment. We give them some fun. We take them on trips. And then we have Sunday school programs. That we have a teens division for boys. We have a teens division for girls. And then we have on our headquarters in Jewel Avenue, our yeshiva placement division, where we have coordinators, we have caseworkers, we have secretaries reaching out to parents with kids in public schools. We explain to them the importance of Jewish education. And Baruch Hashem, Izzo, this week we actually had a milestone. We hit the 900 mark, which is 907 to be exact, from when we started the No Child Left Behind program, which was about 4 years ago. We hit 970 kids from public schools, and we're transferred into yeshivas. Baruch
That's
Hashem.
phenomenal. Wow, just last week.
Just this past week, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's phenomenal work. Now, there are a lot of organizations, not a lot, I shouldn't say that. There are other organizations that do that type of kiruv work, that type of placement work. What, if anything, sets Chazaq apart from them?
So I'll tell you the difference with Chazaq and everywhere else in the world. For what I understand, I spoke to a lot of Gedol Israel, big rabbis, and many Askanim, community leaders, activists, and they told me that it's really one of a kind. Why? Because the community that we're focusing on in Queens, that most of the kids are Bukharian background. Now, Bukharians, I don't know if you know them, they're very, very traditional. I'm Bukharian myself. And they mean well. And they just don't know any better. They're not against Yiddishkeit. They're not against Judaism. So they just put their kids into public schools because, again, they want to teach them, they want them to go to a good college and have good work. But when we reach out to them and we explain to them the importance of Jewish education, they're not against it. It's not like you're dealing with an individual that's an atheist or had bad experiences or has all these different isms and stuff like that. These are individuals that are good-hearted. They mean well. Just that they were ripped apart from their Judaism from the old country. So when we give them some chizuk, some inspiration, we give them some love, we give them some a story here and there, we see that their whole life is being changed. And that's actually an amazing thing that happened to my parents. My parents were traditional as well. And what happened was that when my mother, God should bless her, she was looking for a school for my two older brothers, Shlomo and Rabbi Ilan. She went to a certain school, and she went there, and basically the rabbi interviewed them, and the rabbi's like, "Listen, your kids, it's not going to work out over here," and she starts crying, and the rabbi's like, "Why are you crying?" She's like, "Oh, because I really want my kids to see rabbis. I want them to go to yeshiva." And the rabbi starts seeing how determined my mother was. And the principal said they're not accepted. They don't know Yiddish. It was a school in Farsi. It was called Or Yisrael. It doesn't exist anymore. They don't know Yiddish. So, I learned a little bit of Yiddish because I'm Tata Leben, the Field and Feig, the Field Kashan from Pesach, and a Bissel Shtickle. Now I have some Hasidic friends, God bless. So anyways, the Minal said that it doesn't fit. My brothers went there with the cardboard kippah, the plastic ones. They were all very, very religious over there. And the Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Geltzer, he was a very big tzaddik. And he said, he tapped his hands on the table, what I understand. And he said, no, I'm going to take them in. He got them tutors, and they helped them learn Yiddish, and they helped them fit into the classrooms. And when they would come home, they would tell Abba, Shabbat, Ima, Kashrut, Tzniut. They would bring Torah home. And that's how my family, Baruch Hashem, Chazei Hashem, became religious. The children brought back the parents. Actually, Rabbi Pesach Kron wrote this story in his recent Haggadah. And how Baruch Hashem today, my brother Rabbi Ilan and Shlomo in his own right, Baruch Hashem, they're involved with the community, and we're involved with getting more kids from public schools and into yeshivas and mitzvah Hashem. So again, what makes Chazaq different is the fact that we're dealing with Tamimistic children, traditional families, good people that again they just don't know any better. So it's really easy. It's very easy to bring them back.
So a couple of things. So first of all.
Sure.
I don't know how many brothers you have, but I actually went to high school with a younger brother of yours.
Really?
Roman.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
You went to
I went to Yesodeh. He was a few
I
years
also went to
younger than
Yesodeh.
me.
Oh,
He was 2
wow.
years younger than me in Yesodeh.
Look at that.
So that was
Okay.
one. The other thing is that
That's a third brother.
that's a third brother.
And I'm the fourth brother. And then there's a fifth brother, Arya.
Okay. And now
5 boys.
wow. All right. We got the whole Meirov family.
The whole inside school. I didn't know you went to Yesodeh. I also went to Yesodeh. That's where Chazaq started in a sense, because when I was at 15, that was in 10th grade. So during recess and during all this other stuff, I would run to the computer room or to the place and do the parsha papers and stuff. So
yeah. So the other thing is that you might not, I don't think you know this at all, but I've mentioned this before, so our listeners might. I have a degree in education, and this part nobody knows. I did my student teaching in Forest Hills High School. Half of my students were Bukharian.
Wow.
At that school.
There's over 1,000 Bukharian kids in that school, Izzo.
Wow. That's amazing.
1,000 Jewish kids.
Because the school has, I think, 4,000 students.
It's 25%.
It's 25% Jewish. Yeah.
I actually heard different statistics. That's 1,200, 1,400, 1,500, but it's an enormous amount of Jewish kids there.
Yep. Anyway, that was a previous career of mine. I'm not there anymore. But wow. I do remember that there was a lot of Bukharian children.
So all those kids, not all, but many of those kids after school come to our programs.
Yeah.
And another big announcement, and we're going to announce it on your show right now, is the fact that they would come a block away to Bet Gavriel. I don't know if you remember that shul next to the Central Queens Y. So we had the teens division over there for boys and the girls. But it was getting complicated with the girls division being in the building because there's a boys high school on the third floor. There's minyanim, there's a kollel, there's a lot going on in that building. But Baruch Hashem, this week, Chaz Hashem, thanks to certain donors from the Williamsburg community, God bless them, they got us next door to Bet Gavriel. They're renting out the Queens Jewish Center, and they built a beautiful girls' teens lounge.
Wow.
With amazing ping pong tables and air hockey and all these amenities and fun activities, and they actually had the grand opening. Over 100 public school girls came to that, and it's going to be a new massive revolution going on.
I will also tell you that is where I attended my first Chazaq event.
Really?
Back, I want to say 2008 or 9. Rabbi David
Orlovsky. Okay.
I was freshly back from Israel. He was my idol when I was in Israel, and then he came back to America. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see him. It was phenomenal. That was my first Chazaq event.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you all this information about me that you didn't know.
Okay.
Okay. So we went up to February. We skipped a little bit ahead to things that are going on now, but March comes along with it, COVID. So tell me, what has Chazaq been doing during this time? Obviously, there's no get-together. There's no after-school programming in person. There's no in-schooling in person either. But how does this change what Chazaq has been able to do over the last 7 months?
So, great question. So, COVID obviously hit everyone very hard. We actually had a lot of losses, unfortunately. A lot of very holy rabbis and community leaders. My Rabbi Aaron Walken, our Rosh Yeshiva, we have a base medrash in the Kollel that we started with the Rosh Yeshiva 4 or 5 years ago. We lost due to COVID, and our slogan is, and the Rebbe would always tell us this is that we got to continue strong. And COVID hit us hard, but we're going to continue strong. We're going to make Chazaq stronger in Mitzvah Hashem. Chazaq, for all those that might not know, means strength. So we're going to continue strong. So what do we do during COVID? So we didn't stop. That's one thing. That's for sure. We actually increased our programming. How? Our shiurim went virtual. Thanks to our partners at Torah Anytime. We had every night, minimum thousands of people all across the world tuning into our programs, our shiurim, our events, to be inspired by world-renowned speakers from all over the world. Now, listen, we always organized shiurim. We had hundreds of people in the room. It was amazing. But once COVID hit, every shiur, and this is continuing to happen as we speak right now, there's shiurim going on, Baruch Hashem, virtually, 3-4 of them. So that's the shiur aspect. The after-school programs, Sunday school programs, teens division programs didn't stop thanks to Zoom. I never knew what Zoom was up until COVID, but the Zoom sessions were nonstop, and the kids would actually log in, which is very, very amazing. Why? Because usually the kids would come for social reasons, or they'll come because of food. but they came l'shem shamayim l'shma to learn and to grow and to be inspired. So that is an amazing, amazing thing.
I'll add one thing to that, because they were just coming from maybe 4 or 5 hours of Zoom school, and to just then do another Zoom session after that.
You're saying good. That's right.
So that's very impressive. I know I had a kindergartner last year, and she was done with Zoom after half an hour. So
zoomed out. Yeah.
So after,
my kids also.
Exactly. So after a 5-hour high school Zoom classes, then to then go and not socialize with your friends, but just still go onto those shiurim is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. And on top of it all, our yeshiva placement division, Rabbi Fryman and his staff, unbelievable. We're placing kids to yeshivas all over the country, by the way, all over America. We have cases in Arizona and in Florida and Atlanta and in Canada and obviously in New York. And they were rocking and rolling full force remotely. They had Zoom meetings with the parents. And Baruch Hashem, we were just continuing. And now that we hope, Hashem, we pray that COVID is going to be behind us and we shouldn't know of a second wave, which unfortunately many people are talking about. We look forward to restarting the in-person sessions and to continue inspiring people. But one thing that we learned from COVID is that even if we do in-person sessions and shuls and shiurim and stuff, we're going to always have that virtual live stream.
That's terrific.
That's something that we were always hesitant, thinking twice about. But COVID taught us that full force. We have a massive following in the UK. We have a following in France. We have a following in all these weird countries. I don't even know how to pronounce their names.
I will also tell you, as a young parent, can't always get out at night to go to the shiurim. And if I know that they're being broadcast live while I'm there, much more likely to attend one of them, especially if it's somebody that I'm more likely to go see, a Rabbi Frand, a Rabbi Orlovsky. Also, now that you don't have to necessarily fly a lot of these people in or things like that might help you with the cost as well.
That was great. That was great. That part was amazing. No, a lot of them were home. They were quarantined. They wanted to give their Torah and inspiration. So that was a great part of. I'm saying, I don't know if you could say that any aspect of COVID is great. It was just so many losses, but at the end of the day, we have to, in Judaism, everything we do in life, we have to constantly look at ways to grow and to inspire ourselves to become better people. So there's no question. There's a lot of lessons from COVID. The fact that all the shuls around the world were closed. It's so sad. I had people reach out to me. Their relatives passed away. They want someone to say Kaddish. So I called. I have a lot of contacts, Baruch Hashem, all over the world. I called everyone, and no one had a minyan. So that was a pretty scary thought. And now that we do have our minyanim, how are we treating the shul? It's been a discussion that we have a series every Thursday, risk and reward, the risk of talking in shul and the reward of not talking in shul. Like amazing programming that are instilling, inspiring people. The importance of Kedushas Basic Knesses, to honor the shuls. And we also had a turn off your phone event by having speakers speak about the importance of not having a phone when you walk into the shul and things like that.
Well, I will tell you that since shuls have opened up, since minyanim, in my neighborhood, we started davening in backyard minyanim.
You're still in the backyard?
No. In my neighborhood, we started in about May, davening in backyard minyanim. But one thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure a lot of people also out there have noticed, that talking is down.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem, the fact that you can't sit next to your friend.
Social distancing.
Social distancing is also helping with the volume in shul. I will also comment on one thing you said before. Back when COVID first was a thing, between Purim and Pesach, we had Rabbi Sadiq from Hank Elementary School on.
I know him, yeah.
And he actually happens to be my daughter's principal. But we had him on, and we were going through some of the changes that were going to be facing a lot of schools, in particular his schools, but in schools in general. And he had mentioned that he thought that at some point we were going to switch on an educational level to a more reliance on technology. He said, so if you're looking for like a silver lining from COVID, it kind of pushed us to adapt to that faster than maybe we were anticipating. But now that we have this knowledge, we're prepared for these types of things in the future. And he said, these are things that we could adopt later on, sick days, if kids can't come into school, if they're well enough to learn, but they're not well enough to be there, and they might forget COVID. They have a cold, they have a fever. They might be well enough to learn, but not well enough to be with other kids. This might be an option for them, so they don't miss lessons, so that they're not just sitting home and doing nothing all day. So there's always a silver lining. And I guess with you guys, you learned that a live streaming shiur can be seen by not only the people that are in front of the speaker, but also by a lot of other people. You learn things about your after school programs. You learn things about all of the things that you're running, but you're kind of forced there by COVID. So there is always that silver lining.
One thing that the world learned is that you could work from anywhere in the world.
Right. So that's actually one of my office's things that they learned. And now they're kind of restructuring how that's working. But yes, offices learned that, the business world learned that.
I have a lot of my friends moving to Israel now because they always wanted to be in their area to Kodesh in the Holy Land. And they couldn't do it because of their work. But now their work is offering to work remotely.
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
And yeah, so
it's good.
My neighbor down the block over here is moving right now as we speak.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So let me ask you a little bit about the financial hit that COVID has taken on Chazaq. I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So COVID hit. I don't want to say everyone because I heard that the stock market is doing well. Is that true? Would you
that
know?
Is true. Yes.
It's
fine. Back up almost to where it was in February.
Oh wow. So COVID hit a lot of people hard. So our main donors, at least our board of directors, are involved with real estate development and jewelry. And the jewelers told me, listen, jewelry. When a person doesn't have money to put food on the table and he has an option between bread or a piece of cake, you don't go to the bakery for cake. You go to get bread, and no one's going to get the jewelry right now. And with regards to developers and real estate guys, the tenants aren't paying rent,
right?
And many stores are unfortunately closing up shop. So they really got hit hard, and a lot of non-for-profits got hit hard, especially Chazaq. But like I said in the beginning of the show, we have to keep Chazaq strong. So I actually have been very busy trying to reach out to family, friends, neighbors, anyone I know, and ask them if they could somehow get involved. And Chazdei Hashem Izzo, we have a group of matchers. Every year we actually start our fundraising in March. March is when we start our parlor meetings. We have a parlor meeting in Forest Hills and in different communities and stuff. And everything stopped because of COVID. Everything, obviously, because of in person you can do stuff. So that was a big challenge, and that funding would be used towards a match for our charity campaign, which every year we did about May or June time. So it's already September. We haven't done the campaign, but we're going to jump in head first. Nachshon Ben Aminadav style. He jumped into for the splitting of the sea, and we're going to be having this campaign. We do have a group of matchers. In the past, we did 1 to 4 match or 1 to 3 match. But because of lack of matching, we're going to do a 1 to 2 match. And we hope and pray that this campaign, which we're going to hopefully do very, very soon, either before Rosh Hashanah or before Yom Kippur, hopefully, if everything works out, the community will step in. What's great about these campaigns, these crowdfunding campaigns, these charity campaigns, is that it's the small dollars that add up.
Right.
The 18 becomes 36, and you have hundreds of them, thousands of them. Last year we had 2,300 donors. Baruch Hashem. That means 2,300 people went out of their way to give something to Chazaq. So we hope that everyone from the previous years will give something, and we could expand our network. And we're encouraging people to be ambassadors. If you ever seen these campaigns, the way it works is that you have a team page, and you encourage everyone to donate something on the page. If you have 30 friends that give $36, that's a lot of money. It adds up. So that's the vision. That's the goal right now, to get everyone to be part of this massive revolution. If you go to any other community, where do you have an opportunity to literally save a neshama, a soul, forever? Unfortunately, if we don't get them now, many of them are going to assimilate it into marry, and who knows what's going to be. We have an opportunity right now to bring them in, to give them some chizuk inspiration. And many of these boys, Izzo, you won't even recognize them. You'll be like, what? That kid went to public school? He looks more from than me. Keeps Shabbat, Torah, mitzvot, and they keep it with such a passion. It's amazing. It gives everyone chizuk inspiration.
For me personally, it's not that hard to look more from than me. But yes, I get what you're saying. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
You mentioned that not just you, but a lot of organizations, a lot of not-for-profit organizations are hurting these days. If and not just not-for-profit organizations, private businesses,
the shuls, the yeshivas,
everybody, individuals are also hurting these days. So let's say there's somebody out there listening and they say, listen, I have X amount of dollars to give to tzedakah. Why should I give it to Chazaq over any other organization that I might want to help fund?
Great question. We had the schus, the honor, the merit to have a lot of Gedolei Yisrael, some of the largest, biggest rabbis of our generation, come and visit our headquarters and see the operation and see the work that Chazaq is involved with. Baruch Hashem, our Rabbanim, many Rabbanim are involved with the cause on a daily and consistent basis. We had the schus of having Shmuel Kamenetsky Shlita, Rav Makir Kala, Rav Rechem Olshin. We had Rav Kalodetsky, Rav Chaim Kanievsky's son-in-law. We've had Rav David Yosef, the son of Rav Avad Yosef, very much involved. And many of them basically more or less said that such a cause, there aren't so many causes like this that you have with a few dollars you could save a neshama, a soul. And keep in mind that every child that you save, all the mitzvot, all the tefillin and tzitzis and kosher and Shabbos that he keeps is it's a pyramid effect. You get all the,
you had a hand in all of those.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an amazing opportunity. And we're doing this holy work, and we know what we're doing. We have the recipe, the secret recipe. We just need to get more ingredients and just copy and paste it, and we'll be able to save all 10,000 holy neshamas. And I have no question that if the communities come together, unite, we could save this whole tribe, a whole shevet of Klal Yisrael, these Bukhari Shayid in the Bukharian community. Unfortunately, there's not only Bukharian community, there's also the Georgian and the Persian and Israelis. There's a lot of people that we could go out and save. We just need more manpower. We need more boost. And again, Chazaq, what makes it stick out is the fact that these are traditional families. These are people that are not against Judaism. Like I said before, it's just that they don't know any better. You have to just reach out to them. You hold their hands like we do with our Yeshiva Placement Division, PSTY Public School Yeshiva Division, and we'll see the numbers. We'll see the amazing accomplishments.
We've mentioned all of the great work that Chazaq does, and how you've built it up over the years. Is there anything that Chazaq in the future is looking to expand and maybe open up new branches and do more things that we can look forward to?
Definitely. So first of all, we're always looking to spread the light. We're always looking to do more shiur, more events, more chizuk. So we're open to, and I made this announcement before in our various different platforms. Chazaq is ready, willing, and able to organize and to help organize shiur in every Jewish community in the world, everywhere and anywhere. All you have to do is reach out to us. We call it the Chazaq custom-made event. You choose the speaker, you choose the topic, you choose the crowd, you choose the everything, anything you want. We'll put it together. Many people are like, oh, it probably costs an arm and a leg. No. We have Rabbanim, we have rabbis, we have speakers, we have people that want to inspire people, and many of them are willing to do it, that's right, for zero, just to inspire people. So that's one, that we want everyone to get involved with the shiurim, the chizuk aspect of things. We just like we open up a girls' teen lounge right now, we want to open up a boys' teen lounge. We want to open up this type of lounge in every community, not just in Forest Hills. We want to also do programming for after-school program. We get this all the time. For the FRUB community. Why is it just for the kids in public school? How about the kids in the yeshivas? I have a friend, his name is Rabbi Newman. God bless him. He's really pushing this very hard. He wants a homework center. Meaning the kids finish yeshiva, they come to the center. Again, food, same atmosphere, cool, chilled out. But at the same time, you help them out. Because he says that a kid that is successful, that's matzliach in yeshiva, is not going to go off the derech. If he's successful in life, things are going well, everything is good and dandy, he'll go on the right path. So a lot of visions, a lot of ideas. We want to build Rabbi Walken's legacies. That's how we want to continue the Bet Midrash and the Kollel. We have an amazing. We thought we'll never be able to find someone to replace our Rosh Hashiva, but he's davening for us in Shemaim, and we found someone. He said someone, I guess, Baruch Hashem, that's basically more or less the same age. They learned together, with what I understand, for many, many years at many of the yeshivas together, whether it was in Eretz Yisrael or I think it was Lakewood or Mir, whatever it was, and very similar characteristics. So Baruch Hashem, we have Rabbi Michal Mansour, Be'ez Hashem, he's going to continue the shiurim and the chizuk and inspiration of the base manager in Kailo. But we want to build that as well. Right now, a lot of students can't go to Eretz Yisrael. We're encouraging them to join us, to continue the inspiration. And our food pantry, thanks to Met Council and some government grants, is expanding as well. We have a food pantry I didn't even mention. We actually have a location off of Main Street that they're getting us. There's a lot of good stuff happening, brother.
Yeah, that's. I do want to ask on one thing you said, an after-school program for students that are currently in yeshivas.
Is that an amazing idea?
Yes, that is an amazing idea. But I'm curious why you have to have a different location for kids in public school and kids in yeshiva.
It's a good question. It's something that we would have to discuss our rabbinic board. But I would guess because maybe you're saying good. I was about to answer that maybe there'll be a bad influence from the kids that are not religious yet, but
maybe there'll be a bad influence from the kids. Yeah,
maybe it'll be a good.
Maybe a good influence the other way. Yeah,
it's a very good point, Izzo. If the funding is there, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to do it. And that question will be brought up to our rabbis.
Yes.
Everything Chazaq does, we have an amazing relationship with a lot of gedolim in our. We have Rabbi Obam Shlita, also very much involved with the organization, and many other rabbanim that are involved with the organization, Chazdei Hashem, Baruch Hashem. And we'll ask the Shaila. Das Torah.
I am absolutely okay with you deferring to Das Torah, but from my personal perspective, I've always been a proponent of getting as much of an exposure to other Jews and other people as much as possible. So I would love to see an organization that's willing to integrate the two communities as much as possible. I think you guys are set up really well to do that.
I want you to know that we do Shabbatons a lot with these public school students, and they go from communities, and they do integrate into the communities very nicely.
That's great.
And I love seeing the pictures when they send it to me, our mekarvim, our mechanechim, our rabbeim, our moras, our teachers, who give their heart and soul, and they really do deserve a big shout out. Too many names to mention, but they send me the pictures, and you see the kids in BMG in Lakewood or in all these big yeshivas and stuff. There is an aspect of integrating them, but it's a very good point you're making, brother.
Great.
Let's see.
So we've come to our segment, Davar Acher, where I give our guests a chance to talk about any topic under the sun that they want to. So Rabbi Meirov, I'm going to turn it over to you. Is there anything that you would like to impart on our listeners?
Okay, you're putting me on the spot of year, but that's fine. I'll figure something out. Okay, something just popped into my mind. We're right before the high holy days, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and I mentioned this last year. I gave a shir in the Jamaica Estates community, and somehow, the video clip of this part of the shir, I spoke for let's say a half hour, an hour, whatever it was. They took the 2-3 minutes of this story, and it became viral. Till today, I get feedback from it. So I want to share this story with everyone, with all your listeners, and it's going to tie into everything we've been speaking up until now. So the question is, how do we make this upcoming year better than any year we've ever had? How do we make this upcoming 5, 7, 8, 1 year to be the best year ever? So there's a famous story. I heard this from Rabbi Zamir Cohen, who's the head of the Hebrew organization, Eretz Yisrael. Last year at this time, he had a Shabbaton, a retreat, and I had the zchus, the honor to be his English voice, meaning he only speaks Hebrew, so I would translate everything he says from Hebrew to English. And he quoted Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, who's famed for starting the Musar movement. And he says that there was a parable of an individual that used to work 24/7. He used to work 9 to 5, 5 to 9, workaholic. Izzo, do you speak Russian by any chance?
I do not. Sorry. Niet.
Niet. So in Russian, the word for work, do you know what the word for working means?
If you want, I have Google Translate here. I can check it out.
I'll tell you. The word for work is robota, robot.
Oh.
So basically, he would wake up, he would eat, go to work, go to sleep, wake up, eat, go to work, sleep. He was a workaholic. Anyways, besides for being a workaholic, he was very cheap also, kamtane, as we say in Hebrew. And he would never buy any outside food. He would never order food from the stores. He would always make everything himself. Even coffee. He would tell himself, coffee costs a few pennies. Why go to the store and spend a few dollars? What's the cost? Some milk, some water, some sugar. So, but one day he came back from work. He was exhausted. He was tired. And he told himself, I'm going to spoil myself for once in my life. I'm going to go to the coffee shop. He goes out of his house and he's looking around for a coffee shop. He hasn't really looked around for a store because he would always do things himself. And he couldn't find one. But then he sees a beautiful 5-star hotel. And he tells himself there's for sure a coffee bar in the hotel. So he goes into the hotel. And lo and behold, there's a coffee bar over there. And he goes over there and he says, 1 coffee, please. Sure, no problem. And they tell him that's going to cost you $50. He's like, what? For coffee, $50? They're like, yeah. He's like, that's crazy. He's like, forget about the coffee. How about a Danish? Let me get a Danish. That looks good. Oh, that's going to cost you $75. What? He's going crazy. $75 for a piece of Danish, a cake. So he's like, why is it so expensive? So they're like, oh, listen, you're in a 5-star hotel. You're not just paying for the coffee and for the Danish. You're paying for the look. Look at the chandelier. Look at the sofa. Look at the carpet. Look at the surrounding. He's like, okay, I'll take it to go. Give me a better deal. They're like, no, Habibi, my friend, this is the price. You like it or not? It is what it is. He's like, this is crazy. I'd rather have a headache. I'd rather stay the way I am and not spend all my hard-working money on this coffee and Danish. And he makes a U-turn and he's about to leave the hotel. And as he's about to leave the hotel, he sees in the corner of the hotel in the lobby a bunch of waiters. And what are the waiters doing, Izzo? They're drinking coffee and eating Danishes, and there's trays of coffee and Danishes. And he's going crazy. He's like, what? How in the world are these waiters able to afford such expensive coffee and Danishes? And if they're so wealthy that they could afford these Danishes and coffees, why are they waiters? And he doesn't understand. But he has the guts, and he goes to ask one of them, excuse me, sir, hey, could you explain to me what's going on over here? And he's like, I don't understand. Could you afford such expensive coffee, such expensive Danishes? So the waiter laughs at him. He's like, my friend, listen, we work for the boss. We work for the boss of this hotel, and we take care of his guests. When you work for the boss and you take care of his guests, you could eat and drink as much as you want. You could take and do whatever you want, whenever you want, as much coffee as you want, and as Danish as you want. And that's the nimshal. When we work for the boss, when we work for Hashem, and we take care of his guests, of his children, especially the ones that need help, then we can get and take as much as we want, whatever we want. Abba, our Father in heaven, wouldn't he give it to us? We're working with him. And that's my message I want to leave off to the listeners over here, that everyone should be working for the boss. We should all take this year commitment to help. And there's so many great causes. There's so many amazing things, and I myself am involved in many great causes. Baruch Hashem, I've discussed the honor to be able to. And we have to, as Hashem, save these neshamot, these holy souls. And I implore and I encourage everyone to get involved with the Chazaq revolution. You're going to hear, if you haven't heard of Chazaq before, you're going to hear a lot more. The organization is growing leaps and bounds with Hashem's help. We're going to go all across the world with Hashem. And the ultimate goal is to bring the Geula, the final redemption.
Amen. Rabbi Yaniv Meirov, where can people learn more about Chazaq? Where can they go to donate? Where can they find you?
Sure. So our website is chazaq.org. Let's remind the listeners that it's Chazaq with a Q. That's right. CHAZQ.org. That's right. Chazaq.org is our website. Our office number is 718-285-9132. That's 718-285-9132. And the website for the campaign, which is live right now, but it's not live. What do I mean? You could go on the website right now. It's called charity.com/Chazaq. Charity. Yeah, exactly.
CHARIDY.
That's right. CHARIDY.com/CHAZAQ. You could go to the website. It's live in the sense that you could pre-donate, but it's not live in the sense that the campaign hasn't started yet.
Okay.
So, Be'ezrat Hashem, we encourage everyone to go on the site. When you pre-donate, it will go on to the day of the campaign where every dollar becomes $2. That means if you give 100, that becomes 200. You give 1,000, becomes 2,000. If you want to give 10,000 or more, please call me.
And I know you guys have a pretty strong presence on social media. You have a Twitter, a YouTube, an Instagram, a Facebook account.
Yes,
people
we
can
do.
find all those things.
Chazaq social media individual working on this and video editing and all that good stuff. And we encourage everyone to follow us on all social media platforms, like you said, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, you name it.
And one last thing, I've seen your little snippets of Torah on Daily Dose every once in a while. They feature you. If people want more of your Torah, where can they find you?
So me, myself, and I have a few shiurim I give here and there, primarily over here in the shul around the corner from here. There are a few shiurim of mine on Torah anytime. And the Chazaq YouTube page has a few shiurim. And one thing that I like to do is I like to spread other people's Torah. But I do have a few classes online. And it's Hashem, anything we can do to help Klal Yisrael spread the light and to inspire people. And again, the ultimate goal is that we do want to go out of business. I always tell that to people. We want to go out of business.
Phenomenal.
And we want the Gula to come, and there wouldn't be any tsar, any problems. And we hope for that day very soon.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Yaniv Meirov. That was a phenomenal way to end off our episode.
It was a pleasure.
I want you to have a Gemar Chasima Tova.
You too.
And we'll speak to you when we speak to you.
Yes, looking forward. Amazing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. My thanks to Rabbi Yaniv Meirov for joining me this week. We've now been through about 7 months of this pandemic, and we here at the JLP hope you've been doing as well as possible. This is obviously a tough time for the entire world, and you probably have a bunch of organizations asking you for donations. If you have a few dollars you're trying to determine which organization to give to, please consider Chazaq. The work they do could help save the spiritual lives of so many individuals. And of course, for everyone out there, as always, Kol Tov.
The Jewish Living Podcast is produced by Sroli Pikus. Our theme song is The Band by A.B. Rottenberg from Journeys 4. You can email the show at jewishlivingpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at Jewish_living. The Jewish Living Podcast is recorded in conjunction with the Queen's Jewish Link.